Excellent, thank you. Yeah, you like that? Well, the applause is for you. I'm actually the only reason why I came to this event was actually to hear all of the great speakers that we had so far and to meet you guys. And I think, Hector spoke about it, Andrea spoke about it now. I think coming here and being in a beautiful city, I wish I'd brought my inline rollerblades so I could skate around. It's a beautiful city to skate in, I've heard. But I'm really, really also thankful to spending some time with you guys, because I actually find it really hard to go to conferences. I never make it a priority. So it's actually really, and I have a good excuse now because I got invited. But all of you who's taken time out of your weekend and spent money and time on it, I think it's a great opportunity, and I just encourage you it's inspiring to see that you do it, and I just encourage you to see each other and to connect with all the speakers. So that's why I also put on the lights, so you guys can see each other, and it's less scary for me to be in the spotlight. So that's, yeah. So I just want to open with a quote, because that's what you do when you're in a conference. This is the key, right, to collaborate, and you could change that word code to anything, because I really think, regardless of what skills we have and regardless of what we bring to the table, it's only when we combine it with other things that we create new and we create innovative work. And in this time, we've all made it everyone on the stage has made it really clear that things are changing around us and we need to be on the forefront of that change. And I think you guys coming here today is definitely like a pledge to being part of that. So I look forward to also partying with you later and seeing some of you on the workshop. So this is my granddad. His name is Odd, it's spelled O-D-D. I'm also thinking about that name for my firstborn son. I love that name. I've found a catchy title for my talk. It's called Radically Real Education. That's what I'm going to talk about. My name is Sveinung. I come from Norway. I'm 30 years old. I work at a company called Hyper Island. And we're running an experiment called 30 Weeks. And I'm going to talk a little bit about Hyper Island and also the experiment. Based in New York at the moment. I'm coming from a background of photography. I realized I wasn't going to be a famous photographer, and it was way too hard work to be a mediocre photographer. So I went into teaching, continued to do some production, went into fashion and digital, and it's got me into education in a big way. So learning is a big part of what I do, and why I get up in the morning to learn new things and to help other people do the same. Next for me, obviously very important for me because what I'm doing next, I'm starting a new job. So I'm going to be part of Hyper Island's research and development team, which, looking at, education. We're doing like face-to-face education. That's really like 1997. We need to really innovate because there's a lot of technology and things happening. So I look forward to being part of that. And most importantly, my hometown is really small, and there is a great project to start a creative school for 18 and 19-year-olds. So that's also what I'm doing in my weekends, and I'm really excited about. That's the whole picture. That's me, then my sister and my mum also. I never look back I'm not bitter about my childhood at all. Yeah, I get turned on by making people and things better, and I think it's the kind of theme that a lot of you guys have been talking about too. So I lead some great projects where I'm able to work with some amazing people, and I'm humbled to be put in a position where I can do that, where I can collaborate and make things better. And it's such a luxury to be able to have that mindset, I think, because a lot of people today will need to just get by and to just do. But you in the room, you're here. You spent money and time. You're here in a really unique position where you have the ability to make things better, not just to get by. And I think that's something that you should really cherish and something I think about quite a lot. This is a great quote. I'll give you time to read it. It's by an Englishman called Alistair Smith. He's a smart dude. He's published a couple of books. You should definitely check him out. The learners, and I think there's really power in learning, and the kind of like leaning forward that comes with learning. Knowing has never been enough, and has never been clearer than today. So Hyper Island is a company. Who's heard of Hyper Island before this conference? All right, half of you. Okay, great. So we're a school. We started in the 90s when CD-ROM and internet was like really cool. And education institutions weren't working because they weren't turning out talent fast enough. So we started to cut out the teacher, not cut out the teacher, because I'm a teacher myself, and I know there's teachers in the room, so not cut them out, but to make the professionals who are out working in the industry also teach, so that they could bring their craft to the table. We also do consulting and training, and we worked the first 10 years of our life with our business model, and now we're getting better at making money too. I got a few slides left. Our relationship with technology, just really quickly, we're a digital school, but our relationship with technology is about people. It's about the world becoming more complex. It's about it demands that the specialists in the room need to step up. There's no experts that are experts forever, and for that we need more collaboration. We need to understand, we believe that we need to understand group dynamics in order to do effective collaboration, and in order to do that, you need to be self-aware. So our relationship with technology is really about being self-aware and understanding what are the strengths and things that you bring to the mix, basically. So I'm going to talk about this experiment that we're doing on the intersection of education, innovation, and incubation. Those are great words. They're really big words and really sexy words, and I love surrounding myself with them, and I'm going to talk a little bit more about them. It's a luxury. I can decide what I do. It's great. You all have to listen and see me. Generally speaking, we think of startups as a good thing. I mean, at least I do, and we at Hyper Island. They're good for the economy. If you look at the US alone, between the 70s and up until now, there wouldn't be any job creation. There wouldn't be any new jobs created if they weren't for startups in some way. They're also good for innovation, because by default, they need to do things better. You can't launch the same product. And a startup it needs to be a better version of what's already out there. But there's no one really teaching how to create a startup and sharing that knowledge. So we have accelerators and incubators in traditional form. I heard from a new exciting incubator today, which I'm super excited. They're just down the street from us in New York, which is doing some amazing stuff. So I think they're also up there in that corner. But there's a really gap in the market, because the incubators and accelerators of today, they're very they want to keep the information close to them, because they got their investors and they want to say, oh, this is how we do incubation, and it's a secret. So we want to carve out a new space in the market where we also share how we run our education experiment and our incubation experiment. And that's a lot of why we do it, to share that knowledge. So let's see if we can teach founders, and that's what we're doing now. The program is called 30 Weeks. It's a collaboration between some of the best design schools in New York, and Hyper Island has we're humbled to be part of that group. We're kind of like the neutral ground, because we didn't really have a presence in New York, so we can mediate between all of them. Also, Google is on board. Today, the model is based similarly to the new incubator. The designers take all of the equity. We don't take a stake in it. They pay some tuition to fund it. And it's made up by 4 things. And the first thing is people. So about a year and a half ago, we went out and said, designers, unite. Do you have empathy, like loads of it? Do you have a desire to go beyond selling your design hours and creating value at scale, but don't necessarily know what that means yet for you? You don't necessarily have a team, you don't necessarily have an idea, but let's come to New York, spend 30 weeks with us, and let's explore that. So that's what we did. They all came to New York, September 2014, and they signed in on the wall, and it was a great ceremony. It was nice. And I get to look at that every day, which is great. They pledged their allegiance to founderism. We also invited the industry in New York to collaborate. So we've had about 100 people across tech, business, entrepreneurship, and startups. And not just the sexy brands and the names and the high titles, but the people that were interested in the education part, right? The idea of contributing and collaborating. And then we put a team together, which I'm fortunate enough to be part of a team of 4. And we have a process. So whenever I come into the studio, there's loads of different stuff happening. But it's all part of the same process, which is built on lean methodology. And we call it ideate, validate, iterate. And it's this idea of constantly moving towards your goal, which is launching a product. So this is Steven pitching to some potential investors. He's actually raised money. He's raised $350,000. We're not even done with the program, so it's amazing. And we have Ariel in the other corner doing research, user research with loads of kids. And we have Kayla doing a prototype. And then the place is really a meeting point. It's in New York, and a place like this needs to exist in a place where there's already an existing community, where there's already an existing ecosystem of people that want to do it. 30 Weeks and other programs like it cannot create the network, but it can only leverage the network that's already there. Which brings me to the need for humility and to be humble when you go into this, because we don't want to go and say all the other accelerators and all the other incubators are doing it wrong. We want to say, we want to be part of it, and we want to introduce new groups to the table. Not MBAs and not engineers who typically have a fast track into the world, but we want to bring designers in, new minorities in who weren't necessarily thinking about creating a startup in the first place. And we want to bring them in that kind of pre-incubation stage where we give them time to identify, what am I passionate about? What do the world need? How does my passion connect to a real need? And how can I build something about that I not only want to make money on, but I want to spend the next 3 to 5 years on? And then the focus on product. So the designers are focusing on product. We're focusing on our product. 30 Weeks is really a startup out of itself. The program is our product. The 17 designers are our users. And we're continuously, week to week, iterating on what our product should be, which is super exciting. We had about 550 people apply for the 17 seats, which is amazing. We have about 250 people ready to apply next year, and we've just decided we're going to do it next year, so that's super great. We need to figure out our product, because today we're based on tuition and a donation, and we need to figure out our business model around it. We could raise a fund, we could be a not-for-profit, we're still to figure that out. But the proof is in the pudding, really, and now we've got some money to do it again because some great companies are coming out. You should definitely go to 30weeks.com and check out the program. And then there's this quote. I know I'm running over time, but I can't stop now. I'm too far gone. This quote that Andrew sent to me, which I think is really nice, because, yeah, we can't predict the future. And some of the things that I've learned is more some kind of guiding principles that I'm going to take with me, and I'd love to share them with you. So when I go into my new role, and on Monday, I kind of steer by this. So for me, building the future is going to be about gathering a group of people eager to create and a network willing to help. And that's really about inviting in people. It's not about carving out a corner in a building and staying secret and hoping that you come on stage and everyone loves you. It's really about bringing people in from the start, whether they're users and competitors. It's about creating a process that includes continuous reflection, feedback, and learning. And that's to be about openness, right? It's to say, I don't have all the answers. We don't have all the answers, and we don't need to pretend. But as long as we continuously strive to learn, and we continuously strive to be better, and listen to feedback, and actually listen. In the last break, I was like, shit, I didn't listen to what that person was saying, was speaking to me, because I was already just thinking about how I could say something equally smart. And that's really dangerous, because then I'm making big assumptions about what that person was saying, and I'm just listening to the first few seconds, and then I'm like, oh yeah, so I also have this idea. And I was like, no. You need to listen, right? You need to get that kind of, really listen, because by listening and really taking ownership of what that means, you can learn a lot. And it's about building a physical and mental place that encourages collaboration, curiosity, and openness. And it's about creating a space that's safe to fail and safe to try. But it's also real enough so that when you test things and when you try it out, you're not in a bubble. You're not outside. You're not in the studio. The studio should be on the ground floor, and outside should be your vendors, your customers, your competitors, and everything. Because every hour and day you spend on an idea that's not validated in the market or to a real need, you're wasting time, in my opinion. You're wasting time. You're basically playing to an idea that you hope this is going to be useful, and we don't have time for that. You don't have time for that. And then it's about keeping an intense focus on creating products in response to real needs. We work a lot with the industry and with our customers to tell us what our portfolio program should be the next year. What should we be giving out? And it's not the most cost-efficient way, because it costs a lot of money, and it's a bitch to realign our portfolio as often as we do. But it is worth it, because we're providing real value for real people. And I think that's really important. So I'm going to give you a bonus in my 5th minute over time. 3 links, because we couldn't really change it now. So 3 links on the next level education and learning. So one of the products that are coming out of the 30 weeks experiment is Ananas, a great kid-to-kid educational platform enabling children to communicate and teach and experience each other's languages and cultures. Super interesting. Ariel, who's behind it, is grown up between the US and Israel and knows what conflict and cultural differences and difference of opinions means on her skin. And it's a great app that she's creating. IDEO, last week or the week before, launched IDEO U, which you should definitely check out. Hyper Islands Toolbox, so this is where I plug our product. We've just recently opened up our kind of chest of goodies and all the things that we've been building on the last 18 years. And you should definitely check that out and take it and run workshops and that kind of thing. And I'm going to be sampling some of those things tomorrow in the workshop, which is all about kind of how do you take the most out of this experience that you've had so that you don't go home just being inspired. Because in my experience, inspiration can be turned into frustration very quickly. If you don't have, like, I'd almost like, all right, then I don't want to be inspired. I'll be like, I'll be at home watching Netflix, rather than being inspired and coming back on Monday and then like, now what? Like I'm gagging to create, but no one else gets it, or I don't know how. Now that's negative for me. So turning insight into action is something that I really believe in and something that I want to focus on tomorrow. So yeah, I guess I end on that. Let's make the most of it. And then, see, I didn't have 540 slides. I only had 28. But yeah, anyways, thank you.